beautiful tribute. So it's a great pleasure to introduce to you some friends of mine. I consider them family, and I think you all are our extended family. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Mayhew and Angie Mayhew.
Well, as Carrie would have put it, she was never early for anything. But looking around, seeing all the fans, she would have been here on time. I think, knowing Carrie for almost 40 years, you get to know people, and she had so many different attitudes. She was one of the boys. When I say one of the boys, Mark, Harrison, Carrie, Peter, I would have four people who were the center of Star Wars and most of the movies. And she was just, she became for anything, and really, you know, she organized a lot of stuff, which you never hear about, you know, and stories that, well, you know, you do what you have to do, and as you've seen on the video, she can adapt to almost anything, any situation, and she did. She was up in Norway on Empire, about that big, when you got an area of snow that was 15 to 20 feet deep. We almost had to put a harness on her to stop her falling through the snow. You know, you can imagine someone holding her up like a 2-year-old baby walker. And she'd be there in her snowsuit, and all you could see was her little face. Wonderful person.
Speaking of Norway,
Yeah.
I remember we were sitting up back talking to Mark one time, and he was like, well, you know, it's a real shame that Harrison filmed his stuff in the studio. You know, I wish he'd been in Norway with us. And Peter turned around and looked at him, and he said, Mark, he was driving the cat right behind you. And he was there the whole time. So, you know, the legends and the stories go on because the guys, like Carrie said, I couldn't tell you what order anybody filmed anything in. You know, they were preoccupied on set with having fun and being kids, running around. Carrie was hired for her big personality.
Yep.
It's that same big personality that we're celebrating today, isn't it? You know, because, you know, if she'd been a Hollywood diva, nobody would care. But she wasn't. You know, she was a
princess.
Our princess.
Yep. And a member of the family. And all the people that, all the groups and stuff remember her. She is there, and she is probably, of all the, well, she's the only female character that goes away through all the movies.
Her thread
Her thread
goes all the way through.
Yeah. and she's probably one of the most, excuse me, she's probably one of the most impersonated characters ever.
Oh, I don't know. I think you'd run her in close.
Well, yeah. I need a hairbrush and some hairs. Then I can match her bone for bone.
Right.
This is not what you would call a normal week. I think we ought to enjoy this weekend and make sure that Carrie Fisher lives on in everybody's memory. Because she is there, she is still there. And we were talking to her in New York a month ago, something like that. And she was perfectly fine, wonderful, bouncy. She goes on this damn book tour.
The tell-all.
I told her
Book
not
tour.
to. I told her not to take all the books in her suitcase, and she would insist even a carry-on full up with Carrie books. And that wishful drinking. Well, that's another story.
Have you seen wishful drinking? Anybody? I'm sure there's a lot of you
I'm
that
sure.
have, right? Well, I saw on Facebook feed this morning that I think HBO is going to play it on Sunday.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. It's such an insight into Carrie herself, and it starts with the premise. Okay, so it's been a long time since we saw it, but the premise was that Billy came to Carrie and asked if she could be friends and or date Elizabeth Taylor's grandson.
If you can sort that
If
one out.
we know that story, we know that Eddie Fisher went to comfort Elizabeth Taylor after one of Elizabeth Taylor's husbands died. Eddie Fisher, of course, being Carrie's dad, and Dad decided to stay. So Elizabeth Taylor, Debbie Reynolds, Eddie Fisher had a big history, tumultuous, and so Carrie had to explain to Billy whether or not she could be friends with Elizabeth's grandson. And that's kind of the premise of wishful drinking, and it is very frank. It goes into Carrie and all of her challenges that at the end of the day she overcame, didn't she?
Yeah.
And she overcame them in public. And maybe that might be the most important story that we have, is that Carrie lived her life in public so that other people could take the good, the bad, and the ugly from it and learn. And there's a reason why she was the most successful script doctor in Hollywood. Did you know she did that? She would take crappy scripts and make them into good movies.
She do it for George.
Maybe not enough.
Yeah, maybe she didn't do that enough for George, yeah.
Well, the thing I loved about her was that she never shied away from the crazy. Like, she embraced it.
She embraced it.
And she showed everybody that it's okay to embrace it sometimes.
Yeah. She showed everyone how to be crazy, didn't she?
Absolutely.
And we owe her a debt of gratitude for that.
I think so. I mean, it's funny, when I saw Angie Thursday night when we first got in, it occurred to me that when I was hugging you hello, that I first met you the same time I met Carrie, and that whole experience at Star Wars Celebration 2, which was her first convention, I believe. And
Celebration too.
it was incredible. I mean, she jumped into this thing without knowing what to expect, and she never stopped. She was so cool to all the fans and so great. And she made it a point to say, I want to go see everybody else